Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Ottawa. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Ben Stark of the Hall of Fame.
You can say that all day.
And we've got Owen Turtenwald versus Anthony Cook. I see Shahar was down there too, so might be able to jump over there and take a look at what Shahar's up to as well.
Always cool to see what he's doing.
Owen Turtenwald, one of the best sealed players in the world. It's actually his favorite format.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best players in the world, period.
Yeah.
But you don't see too many of the best players say sealed is their favorite format.
No, exactly. And he does. He's had some incredible runs in sealed over the course of his career. And he loves it. It looks like he's Mardu from here.
Well, he's discarding a Siege Rhino.
Ooh. Was it a... Okay, so he's got...
A light green splash.
Yeah. What did he discard?
I thought it was a Siege Rhino.
It might have been a Scavenger. We'll get a look when we pop up back.
There's a Sultai Scavenger in his hand.
Oh, there is one in his hand still?
I mean, maybe I'm seeing things because it's weird to discard the Siege Rhino. He must have very few green sources if he had a Siege Rhino and discarded. Maybe it just wasn't. Maybe it was a Ponyback Rider or something. No, okay, he discarded Krumar Bondkin.
Oh, Bondkin, okay.
So Ponyback Rider is... so he's just
Brigade.
Mardu. Ponyback Brigade, I thought was Siege Rhino. But it's just Ponyback Brigade and maybe he's just Mardu. I don't see any green.
All right.
My mistake.
No worries. And here's Wooly Loxodon that hits the bin there off of the Crater's Claws. Crater's Claws, one of the better cards in the format, and this is one of the reasons why. You can use it to kill your opponent late in the game, but also sometimes it just kills a morph early. Well, there's the Siege Rhino.
I must have saw that when he was flipping through.
You smelled him running around the big rhino somewhere.
But yeah, Crater's Claw is really flexible. That's really important for good cards.
Yeah.
We're talking about the downside of a lot of cards like Secret Plans of Trail of Mystery that have upside also. Well, there's no real downside to Crater Claw. Right. You can use it on turn 3 just to trade with their 3-drop, or in the late game it can kill big things or kill them.
Right.
A very flexible, powerful card.
Love that kind of card. And now we've got an interesting turn of events here as well. Anthony Cook, turn 4 Siege Rhino against a stumbling Owen Turtenwald. You'd think that would put him firmly in the driver's seat, but it actually... All right, well, debilitate... Wow, there's just fireworks flying down here in the feature match area. Debilitating injury takes down Ponyback Brigade, but Suspension Field took out the Siege Rhino. And now, after the dust is settled, Owen has a grip full of cards with no 4th land again, but a 3-3 versus a 2-1 here on Anthony Cook's side. Let's see what Anthony can do to come back. This feels like standard, like where it's like Haymaker, Haymaker, Haymaker. Normally things progress a little slowly, and here we go, Armament Core. For Anthony Cook, he's going to put 1 on each. Now they both get first strike.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be tough for Owen.
I mean, I can't believe he's still...
in this game?
Yeah. And he misses his land again. He finds a Merrick Nightblade. Does he have a play this turn?
No.
I think he does. I think he's got a
Hateblade, but that doesn't do anything with the first strike. So
not a Hateblade. I think he's got a Horde Chief. Yeah.
Right, which is just going to give him chump blockers, though. Is that? I mean,
the question is, what does he have in his hand so that he can
get out of
this? If
this?
He draws a bunch of lands, if he can get out of it, that's the question.
I don't really know. I mean, his hand doesn't really look like anything too effective on this board. Like, I wouldn't really call the Horde Chief much of a play here. It just gives him like a chump blocker and a 2-3 body that does virtually nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a play, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to do something, so at least it's something, but...
I mean, he may have another Horde Chief and a War Shrieker in hand, so he may be able to do a lot next turn, but a lot that doesn't really stop this board or impact this board.
And it just keeps getting worse for Owen. Hooting Mandrills now for Anthony Cook. So he's got a 5-5 first strike, a 3-power first strike, and a 4-4 trample.
Hooting Mandrill's a nice card. That's a card I was undervaluing in the beginning of this format.
That was one of them? I like that card a lot.
I wasn't doing that well with my green decks. I was doing really well with my Mardu and Abzan decks. But my green decks, I didn't feel like I had a great record with. And I talked to William Jensen and some other players who I respect. And, you know, that was one of the things he informed me of, was that maybe I was undervaluing Hooting Mandrills because it's actually, you know, better than I thought.
And it proved to be true for you?
Yeah, since I started prioritizing him higher, I've been winning more with my green decks.
Wow, now Abzan Falconer hits the battlefield, which is going to give these creatures flying on top, just when Owen had put up enough chump blockers, because like you mentioned, he did hit that land, and he had the War Shrieker to kind of empty out a bunch of his hand, but he's just going to take too many beats in the air.
And he wasn't under too much pressure, because he would have been able to double or triple block the Bondkin, so Anthony would have only really had a profitable attack with the Armament Corps. Of course, and of course, like with the 5-5 first strike, there's not really an amount of blocking I don't know if Owen could have done to stop that, but he would have just chumped it with the 1/1 soldier token.
Exactly.
So he would have at least had time.
In a super tough spot, 2 lethal threats in the air. Owen, in his hand, he's got an Acropolis Fiend, but I think no cards in his yard currently. I see that he's got a Bitter Revelation, but that would leave him dead as well.
Yeah, he can't cast that. He does have the 1/3/3 flyer, but I mean, it's just a chump blocker.
Right. So
Not
here's
really.
Bitter Revelation planning to chump block.
Yeah, but isn't he dead to the other flyer?
He
Unless
is.
he draws a relevant 1-mana spell. I'm not sure about
which
this
there
play.
aren't any.
Yeah, Murderous Cut, but I mean, there's not.
But he didn't have enough in his yard even then.
He had 0 in his yard because he gets 3 from it.
had
He only
0.
needs 1.
Yeah, he had 0. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just nothing he could do
I guess
there.
he could have drawn land Murderous Cut.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
No, it doesn't work no
it's
matter
weird
what.
because I mean he didn't have to cast that Bitter Revelation. I know he's not going to win this game, but he could chump block and take 3 and go to 1 from 4. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't actually dead on board. No,
So
but
you think his thinking was? Well, what was his thinking?
I don't know, because I mean, by all means, you know, Bitter Rev, even if it's just into a 1-outer, like let's say you have 1 Murderous Cut in your deck that you can do.
Yeah.
By all means, Bitter Rev to try and find it, because you're
Yeah.
probably not winning the game if you're chumping with Scavenger.
Right.
But if he was going to be a card short of Murderous Cut, then there's just nothing that he could have done after the Bitter Rev. So I don't know why you would play it and concede rather than, you know, chump and see if you have outs.
Sure.
Maybe he just had no outs. I don't really know.
Could also be true. So a relatively quick one. Owen did his best to get through, stumbling on his mana there, taking care of a turn 4 Siege Rhino. Let's not forget that. But nope, wasn't enough. And Anthony Cook kept the pressure on in a big way. Both of these players are currently sitting at 6-0 in the tournament. We're in round 7. We're going to be playing 2 more rounds today, both Swiss and both in the sealed portion of the tournament. Any players who are 7-2 or better are going to get to come back tomorrow and partake in the draft.
We're getting to see Owen sideboard. It looks like he may have put in a Rite of the Serpent or just not taken out a Rite of the Serpent if he was considering it.
Okay.
Which would make sense because it's particularly good against the Outlast deck.
Oh, for sure. And he saw some really nice targets for it there, too. All right, live looking with Shahar Shenhar versus James Puckey. And what is Shahar up to? Well, it looks like he's getting beaten down a little bit here, too, though not as bad of a board state as Owen was in, because Shahar's got lands and Obzon Charm and some stuff to deal with here.
And a War Behemoth, which has a lot of toughness.
It certainly does. That is its forte. Interesting. I don't... So, Shahar's got 2 black mana sources, which is, I think... Oh, does he have a swamp in his hand? If he's got a swamp in his hand, then he can kind of empty out here if he wants. Yeah, he does. Okay. So he can play 2 spells here pretty easily. He's going to play a Morph. And he's just going to pass a turn back. He wants to be able to interact with his opponent's creatures with that Obzon Charm.
What did he morph? Did you see what it was?
It was the Bonkin. That's what I was.
Okay.
He could have hardcast the Bonkin, played his land, and played the debilitating injury as well, though not really any great targets for that anyway.
Yeah, it's an interesting morph because if he hardcasts it, he can then charm on it. Maybe less surprise value, but there's less that can maybe mess him up because it would be a little bigger.
Yeah, and he's now priced into making the play here where, you know, the likely line is to block and then turn up his Bonkin. He's taking a less mana efficient route to making this happen.
But now he can't use the charm. So if his opponent has feet or something here.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like it happened though. All right.
Greedy Shahar gets rewarded.
Shahar's got to feel pretty happy about that.
Players, if you sign
His opponent does have a lot of cards in hand, so it's possible that Shahar just needs that to work like this.
It's true. That's a Mardu Charm?
That's an instant, right?
That is an instant. I don't know why you would do that post-combat.
Yeah.
It does 4 damage. It has plenty enough to kill the 3-power.
Yeah, I mean, even if you let him block first, after he blocks and unmorphs, you can kill it and save your 2/3. So that's just a mistake.
I think there was a misstep there for James Puckey. Now, he does still get to at least get the 5/3 off the battlefield as a consolation there, but that's going to be tough. It's tough to recover from mistakes like that. Shahar's not going to give him much more of a window than that. He got away with one there.
Yeah. Yeah, if he would have Mardu Charm the Morph pre-combat, Shahar wouldn't even have been able to save it with the Charm.
No.
And if he would have done it after he blocked, he would have just had the Spell Piercer still alive.
Right.
The Heart Piercer, sorry, Mardu Heart Piercer.
Yeah, which is a big deal. All right, back to our main match here. Owen Turtenwald finding himself down a game against Anthony Cook, who really had a great draw in the first game. I mean, he put on huge pressure and didn't stop for the duration. And now we've got dueling Enoch Bonkins here.
And as he's flipping through his hand really quickly, the only card that really stood out I could see there was the Siege Rhino.
He's got it again?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Siege Rhino is not a fair one.
No, especially when it comes down on turn 4. Owen Turtenwald gets to be the first one, though, to put a counter on his Bonkin.
All right, he might not have black mana, though. We just got a good look at Anthony's hand now.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of cards, but I don't think he has any black mana.
I think you're right. Wow, is that an end hostility in his hand as well? So it looks like the plan for him is to dump some mana into this Bonkin, use it to sit back and either trade, and then maybe get Owen to commit a few too many creatures before he can then use his Wrath and recover with the Rhino.
These guys almost look like they're playing constructed.
It does.
I don't know if I'm just seeing things, but it
looks a jungle hollow, by the way.
Yeah, and I think I saw a Sarkhan in Owen's hand as he was flipping through. That might have been wrong. You know, they flipped through quickly. Like last game, I thought Owen had a Siege Rhino, but looks like they might have some pretty good decks here at 6-0.
Spicy stuff here. All right, here's a morph though for Anthony Cook. So it looks like he's not going to lean on that end hostilities too hard. He wants to still develop his board, and it was a Sarkhan. You were right. Wow.
So Owen with Crater's Claw and Sarkhan
in his hand. Plus, he's also got Feat of Resistance, which could be really good, depending on how he times it here as well.
And Anthony looks like he has Crater's Claw in hand, and hostilities, and Siege Rhino. There's going to be some firepower.
Maybe we should have played in this tournament and sat in their seats.
Right? No, they are 6-0, so you can't really be doing any better than that at this point.
Yeah.
And I know Owen had 3 buys. I don't know if Anthony had buys.
All right, and a morph for Owen Turtenwald. Now, this is getting kind of interesting here, as I think Anthony's going to have to make some pretty big decisions coming up. Like, he can just keep on. Well, it looks like those decisions have been made ahead of time because he's in battle mode here.
Well, I
guess he figures he can just race Owen with the Siege Rhino in hand.
Yeah, and I mean, Siege Rhino is a pretty good brick wall if Owen doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
And maybe since Owen's already played 3 cards, Anthony's just thinking, whatever, you know, maybe he doesn't have anything.
Sure. This feels a little risky from Anthony with the level of power of the stuff in his hand, but I mean, his board is sweet. Like, he's keeping right up with Owen, so and he still has the Crater's Claws in his hand. They're both probably trying to play to a situation where Crater's Claws can finish the game for them.
And ironically, there's not a whole lot of things that can kill Siege Rhino here.
No.
But he saw Suspension Field out of Owen last game, so that makes me not love this line.
Yeah, it makes me a little apprehensive. Like, it might work out for him, but it does feel pretty high risk. Like, it would feel like a real shame if he got into a race with Owen and then ended up dying with Crater's Claws and end hostilities in his hand. Like, you got to figure that he can craft the game.
And I might take this line in the dark because, like, I don't even know if he has a Suspension Field in his pool, and there's very few cards that Red, Black, White can use to kill Siege Rhino here.
Right.
But having seen it last game, you could probably take like a slightly different line.
Oh, we got deck lists there, Ben. All right, here's Debilitating Injury, though. Is Owen going to have to pull the trigger? Yes, he is. So protection from black on his morph.
This is a pretty good spot for...
Yeah, that's really nice, right? The morph gets first strike now. It's also bigger.
That's what I was thinking, It's a pretty good spot for feet.
Is this an attack?
Yeah, I mean...
Can offer the trade?
He would happily trade it with the morph, so I don't see why he wouldn't attack with it.
Yeah, I like that. He's probably got his own Feat of Resistance anyway. They just have it all the time. All right, there's that. And what was it? Ponyback Brigade? Oh, I think he might have forgotten about the first strike there. He didn't put his creature in the graveyard right away. All right, Seeker of the Way, though. And yeah, Anthony seems to be content to just continue this route of just trying to race Owen. I mean, based on power level alone, Anthony's deck is just insane.
Yeah, he's not really playing this game to, you know, give away that he has end hostilities, but also not to get that much value out of it.
Right.
Ironically, if he had played to get more value out of it, I think he would have lost to Sarkhan pretty badly. The way he's playing, Sarkhan's impact might be able to be beaten. I'm not really sure.
Well, let's find out right now, Ben, because here's Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker, and it's going to kill a Pine Walker. Wow. Good value for Owen, and I like that, you know, Owen's taken a little bit more of a tactful route here, as now all of a sudden Anthony Cook finds himself in a little bit of a weird position.
Yeah, well, I mean...
And hostilities when your opponent has Sarkhan is not fun time.
Anthony also has that Crater's Claw.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, wow. That would have been a really bad play, and showing it is kind of absurd.
Wow. Yeah. So Owen Turtenwald will not have missed that little tidbit of information.
And this play is good. This is a fine play.
Yeah.
But accidentally showing end hostilities is interesting.
It's a little scary. a little bit of a bummer for Anthony.
When he was starting to cast it, I was like, what is he doing? Like, doesn't he realize there's a Sarkhan to play? That would have been bad. This play's fine. He could Trader's Closet if he has it, but like he doesn't need to do that. He now has a 6-power first strike trampler attacking Sarkhan.
With 7 toughness. Like there's just like Owen's just gonna have to let Sarkhan die.
The only way Owen could keep Sarkhan alive would be to bury all his guys.
And he's gonna do it.
Which is not unreasonable, but I don't know. Can Owen kill Anthony from 16? I'm not.
I mean, he does have the Crater's Claws to help out.
Yeah, I don't know what Owen's doing.
He's going to get in for 4 to get Anthony. I mean, is he just doing this because he saw the end hostilities and he says, well, if my guys are going to die anyway?
This is the only way I can win?
I guess.
Get in 4 twice, maybe, and then burn him out?
And then burn him out? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, the problem is he's under significant pressure here.
Yeah, and if the Sarkhan drops after the second attack, he doesn't have a 4-power guy out. He needs a lot. I mean, Anthony's at 16. It's not like Anthony's at 9 or
something. All right, well, stage 1 here. This one's not optional, really, from Owen's side. So Anthony falls down to 12.
I mean, I don't know if the block was right or wrong. I mean, I know Owen's got a plan.
He definitely has a plan, yeah.
You don't bin all your creatures there, unless you're up to something.
Right. So let's see what the follow-up play is. Oh, well, this does get... He's going to use the Crater's Claws to kill the threats, and he's going to... So it looks like what Owen's kind of doing here is trying to force Anthony to use the end hostilities and if he uses it here, Owen's like, sure.
Yeah, right. Owen's played around the end hostilities very well with this line.
Because now he's put himself in a spot where he's got a chump block for the Seeker if he wants, and he can hit for 7 next turn in the air.
Right.
That's 2-turn clock right there. So
this is a line where...
This is interesting. Owen has really crafted this board pretty nicely here.
Right. This is a line where if you didn't know he had end hostilities, maybe you wouldn't want to take it, but he was able to play around the end hostilities, basically.
Yeah, here we go. Crater's Claws to kill your Sarkhan.
Yeah.
Yes, this is not constructed.
Seeker of the Way. They're both playing constructed here.
No
That's what we've seen in this game.
And Seeker's going to trade off again, too. So Owen Turtenwald has, with all the dust settled, has the only creature on the battlefield.
And you know what's really cute? The end hostilities hasn't been used, but Owen knows he has it.
Yeah.
So what is Owen going to do here?
Let's find out.
Yeah, does he poke for one to pass? Does he play a guy to force the end hostilities?
This is funny. Yeah, he is going to at least play one guy.
Yeah.
So this kind of does just mean Anthony should just fire it off. Right?
Oh, yeah.
He has no creatures on board. It's not really going to get much better than this anyway. All right. So Owen says, all right, you got a 1-for-1. Like, ultimately, that's what that ended up being, was a 1-for-1. Now, what's the follow-up? Necropolis Fiend. Hello.
This is
what is Anthony going to do? This is a sweet game.
Yeah, this is quite the game. Face up a Woolly Loxodon. Why not?
Hey!
Owen has the right of the Serpent in hand. He needs a land, and he gets it, of course.
And he finds it because that's how this game works, apparently. And in goes Necropolis Fiend. That would have been huge, too, because it actually had Anthony winning the race at that time.
Yeah.
Wow. Now Owen looks like he's in a great spot again with just a nasty bomb in the air attacking for 4 against nothing.
I really, really wonder what Owen's play would have been if he didn't see that end hostilities.
I want to know, too.
Yeah, I mean, his block might have still been right. I mean, he cleared the way nicely and sculpted a good game here.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't know that he has end hostilities, maybe there's different lines. I'm not really sure.
Oh, it's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And we're done here. Owen Turtenwald somehow makes his way through what was ultimately a blockbuster hand from Anthony, but also one from Owen.
Yeah,
I mean,
high-powered
he played
game.
4 rares there, too. So
very high-powered game there.
We got some business here in Ottawa, and we're going to get a game 3 between these two.
Sarkhan versus Siege Rhino. Isn't that what Type 2 is mostly about these days?
Yeah, they both have Crater's Claws. One of them has end hostilities. Necropolis Fiend. Like, that was just nuts. Like, these guys both have the type of tools that you don't want to face at the GP. Let's look back at what old Shahar Shenhar's up to versus James. So Shahar was able to finish off that game. He looked like he was in a good position when we left, and he was able to finish off. And it looks like he's got a Krumar Bonkin to kick things off here against what looks to be a really nice start from James here. A Mardu Hate Blade to, get a little damage in and maybe block later, but more importantly, Abzan Falconer, which is going to be a big problem going forward. And it looks like it's going to battle, so we're going to see some raid usually is what that would trigger. Maybe just a 4-drop, but usually raid. Let's see what James has. That's raid.
Yeah.
Wow, Mardu Heart Piercer. Jeez, this is a nasty start from James.
Flame Tongue Kavu, as some of us old schoolers like to call him.
Yeah. It's like a little mini Flame Tongue Kavu.
Mini
right?
Flame Tongue.
Yeah. But in this situation, it did every bit that a Flame Tongue would have done. And here's another morph now for Shahar, who is way behind. It's not going to take a ton to get him back in this, but he does need to do some pretty serious work, and super awkward for Shahar. You see, he's got Death Frenzy in his hand. His opponent has 2/2/3s right now.
Sometimes the cards just don't line up right. Death Frenzy's a good card.
Throttle. Down goes Wooly Loxodon. 2, 4, 5 damage. And Shahar just keeps taking the beat down. There's a throttle of his own. No land to accompany it, though, so he's going to have to settle for
Long Shot
Squad, which also describes the odds that he has to win this game.
Yeah, his back's to the wall. I mean, the Hate Blade can always keep attacking until it's traded with. The Falconer can go to the air. It's not really that many points of pressure out here.
Yeah, you're right. Jeez, Herald of Anafenza as well. Okay, and he puts up a Kieran. That's a little interesting. You do definitely want to get a counter on that
Falconer.
on the Falconer, but I guess he just wanted to use up all of his mana instead.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a great turn. Obviously, the Hate Blade could attack him, nothing else, if he has a Swamp. I can't see that clearly. I think he has a Swamp,
I think he does too. I think you probably just have to send it in there.
Well, I mean, you can just send it before you tap your mana. If he
That's what I
blocks,
mean,
if
yeah.
he blocks, you'll make that trade, you know?
Sure.
I personally would probably have leveled up the Falconer as well. I think the Herald could probably wait a turn.
Yeah. You want to kind of put the pedal to the metal. If that plan doesn't work out, you can always lean back on the Herald.
And Shahar can't be that high. We saw him take a bunch of damage over the past 2 turns.
Totally. All right, let's head back to our main match and see who can win this slugfest. And here we go again. Turn 2, Seeker of the Way for Anthony Cook. And Owen doesn't look like he has a play at all for his turn 2, so he's going to take some damage here. Well, Seeker for 2 is not a big deal, though, so back down to 19 for Turtenwald. And there's a Mardu Horde Chief, though. Now, these guys have sweet decks, really nice decks here. Even their middle grade cards are pretty darn good.
Yeah, I agree. Their decks are awesome, but when you look at Anthony's lands this game...
Yeah, it's a little weird. Dismal Backwater to double plains.
Right, and in previous, he was a red, black, green, white deck.
That's
so
right.
I don't know if he switched it in or if he just drew, bad lands.
I think he's just playing all of the good stuff. And here's a Mardu Horde Chief for Turtenwald. And it's not a great one here. Do you block the Seeker of the Way here?
I mean, I don't know what he has, what he's representing.
He's not representing much. Like a feat of resistance or something would be the worst case.
I mean, I would never really assume.
And he has it.
I would never really assume that he's bluffing in this position.
No, but you can trade there, right?
Right. So it just depends what your follow-ups are. Like if you need to block there or not. I mean, if you have a follow-up that gives you a good double block next turn, let's say. But since feat gives you protection anyway, it's pretty hard to wait a turn and then get any more value.
Right. And here's the good news for Turtenwald. That was Anthony's turn.
Right.
Like he convinced him to use a combat trick, and that was all he did for the turn. That was a nice turn.
Yeah.
But, at least he's not facing more pressure immediately. And here comes the Mardu Horde Chief, so Anthony's officially out of non-creature spells. And it's a morph. Does he also play a land here? Yes, he does. Lots of planes here. 4 planes in a dismal backwater.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just a weird draw.
But I mean, so many white cards, I don't know.
Yeah, do you think he might have just changed out?
I don't know. It's hard to imagine with how good his deck was.
Yeah, it really is, especially because it performed so well, too, and he needed every bit of it. So here's Mardu Rough Rider now for Owen Turtenwald. So not bad, a 5/4 here. I mean, it's going to tussle pretty nicely with the board. Well, there's the Jungle Hollow, so we're back in business for Anthony.
Yeah, it's possible he just has like a Sagu Mauler or some light blue splash.
That makes sense. And looking back at Owen's hand, I see he's got that Necropolis Fiend again, and he's also got Bitter Revelation, which he's going to play here to set up Necropolis Fiend for next turn.
Yeah.
Judge Shenhan.
All right, so he found a Rite of the Serpent. That's going to go in his hand.
Yeah, and probably the Windscarred Crag, unless he has something to do. No, he already has a bunch of lands,
Got a couple
so
of
maybe
lands.
he'll take both spells. I'm not sure.
Yeah, just take the Mardu War Shrieker.
Yeah. I mean, you figure he can use lands knowing his hand is Necropolis Fiend, but he already has 2 or 3 more lands in hand. So,
Right.
So that's pretty easy to take both
This
spells.
is going to be a tight one, though, for Turtenwald. He's at 11, and I think he's going to get beat down pretty hard here. At least 2 in the air, right? Like, that's the bare minimum.
Yeah,
if
but
that
I mean...
that morph did not attack. All right, so Turtenwald's in business now. Oh, and there's a Siege Rhino for Anthony.
You really got to wonder what that morph is.
I wonder too.
There's not a lot that couldn't attack there. I guess there's things he can't unmorph, like if it's a gold-red morph, for example.
Oh, sure. Wow.
A good attacker there.
Yeah. So Siege Rhino, though, has Owen Turtenwald down to 6 life.
Yeah. I guess even if it's like a Woolly Loxodon, if it gets double block, you're just trading it for the 5/4. Yeah, maybe it makes sense not to attack with that. Drop a Siege Rhino.
Just prioritize getting the Rhino down?
Yeah, because maybe you have an alpha at some point because, you know, you don't want him to double block if it's a Loxodon or something.
Right.
I mean, you know Owen has spells. He just bit a Revelation, so it's going to be interesting.
All right, so he's going to use the Rite of the Serpent on the Mardu Horde Chief to make sure he gets that Snake token, which is presumably going to chump block something here. In the meantime, squad everybody in.
So it's interesting.
So Owen's made the easy blocks so far, and he's going to put the Snake in front of the Morph. Now, Anthony Cook does not have red mana right now, so Owen, I don't think he has the luxury of playing around a card like Crater's Claws right now. So
no, he's at 6. Yeah, he's not trying to beat Crater's Claws.
Yeah.
But what we are trying to do
you
is
actually just kill him anyway.
Oh, wow, it is Sagu Mauler.
Holy smokes, it's Sagu Mauler too?
Yeah. Well,
wow.
You know, Owen wasn't going to be able to beat that.
No way.
When you're blocking there, you're not even thinking about Sagu Mauler. It's like, well, that's a card I can't possibly beat, you know?
Wow, that is just insane. So looking at Anthony Cook's deck list, it's 4 Forest, 5 Plains, 3 Swamp, and then he's got 2 Jungle Hollow, a Mystic Monastery, a Rugged Highlands, and Windscarred Crag. God, he's even got a Ghostfire Blade. What in the world?
Yeah, it looks like he didn't main the Dismal Backwater, so maybe he's boarding in the Sagu Mauler there.
Oh, let's take a look. Gold. Sagu Mauler is not in the main deck.
Yeah, and I like that. You should always free splash that guy. He's got a Mystic Monastery in the main, so with the Dismal Backwater, he's already got 2 sources.
Yeah.
And it's a morph, and it's so powerful.
Yeah, he's already playing heavy green and a little bit of black. He's only playing 2 debilitating injury in just black.
So. Well, I mean, why not toss him that Dismal Backwater?
I agree.
You don't play any islands?
He's got Obzon Guide, Armament Core that also are green plus the Siege Rhino we saw. Anyway, let's get back to Shahar's match here. It looks like he is getting thumped here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a game yet.
James is, we don't have life totals here, but you got to figure that Shahar is on the verge of losing this one. He is up a game though.
What? Did he? Oh.
He played Mardu Charm as the duress ability.
I guess just in case Shahar had Wrath, because maybe that's the only thing he could do. And
he must have had lethal on the board and wanted to make sure that, like there wasn't a kill shot or something.
Yeah, but it would have to be kill shot because if it's in removal, he would just use it in response.
Totally.
I mean,
maybe he was doing it for information.
See your hand before I lethal you.
Yeah. see what else you got. As it turns out, it was a pair of lands for Shahar, and James Tuckey has equalized. So Shahar is, of course, our world champion.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me.
And maybe not for long.
Yeah.
He's going to get a chance to defend it. He could back-to-back it, but if he doesn't, he will have to finally relinquish that title to somebody else.
Yeah.
He's got 23 other people vying for the title this time.
Yeah, it's cool that they expanded it.
Yeah.
I mean, you want all the matches to be good, but 24 is still, an amazing player pool.
Sure.
It's not like it's now a 100-man tournament or something.
Exactly.
And it was very generous. They increased the prize pool proportionally also. Last year it was 16 players, 100,000. I believe this year it's 24 players, 150,000.
Super awesome. Yeah.
I'm really jealous of everyone who's going to be there. I had a lot of fun in that tournament last year before I lost to Shahar in the top 4.
Right.
And so many great matches, great players, fun draft formats.
Vintage Masters is going to be drafted there this year?
Yeah, and I assume the other one is Cons, which is also a very good draft format.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I'm very jealous of everybody playing in that tournament.
You going to make a run at it this year?
I mean, I always hope so, but, it depends on how you do in the Pro Tours. I mean, I had a decent start in the first one at 11-4-1 for 11 points. Mm-hmm. But I mean, realistically, I still need one more really good finish out of the 3 in order to have a shot at the Players' Champs.
Okay.
I'm
sure your fans will be rooting for you.
Appreciate that. Definitely be sweet.
somebody's got to take it from Shahar.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Well, it's really tough to defend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 24-man tournament.
Totally.
So far, we've had 3 different champions, right? Yuya Watanabe won it.
That was the first year when it was called the Players' Championship.
Right. And then, has there only been 2 years of it? This is going to be the third, right?
Yeah, this is going to be the third.
Right. So we have 2 champions. We have Yuya and then Shahar. And then, this year, both Yuya and Shahar are competing in it. So we could have a repeat champion.
Totally. Yeah, Yuya is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the whole Peach Garden Oath squad is going to be there.
Yeah, and it's exciting because with all 3 of them there, they're testing together.
Yep.
So that's like one little squad. And then some of the CFB guys are testing together for it. I think the other Pantheon guys are probably mostly working together. And then, of course, the Japanese. I think they've got like 3 or 4 players in it this year.
They do. Yep.
I like how they expanded it to the top 2 from each region, because you assume the pros from each region probably know each other. So it makes sure nobody's really alone.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think Lars Dom is the only one that comes to mind who probably doesn't have a big test.
Is that
team
the Magic Online winner?
Yeah, he also lives in like Thailand. So, proximity-wise, he's not in like a big Magic hub or whatever, so.
Yeah, I don't know who he is or, if anyone knows him.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt that way last year. Most everybody was known and knew other people except the Moto champion.
Right, the Magic Online champion.
Yeah, which last year was Budakov, I think.
Yeah, it was Dmitry Budakov. And this year it's Lars. He beat a tough field there.
You have to be good to do well on Magic Online. The people on there know what they're doing.
Totally.
But it could be tough if he has to work alone for the tournament.
All right, here's kill shot for James Tuckey. The first action of the game is a not so amazing Harrier dying here to a kill shot. I think Shahar's just fine with that result.
Even though when someone doesn't morph on turn 3 out of a deck like this, you think there's a decent shot they have kill shot, because there's so many morphs, it's hard to not have anything. That was a Sage Eye Harrier, so Shahar was happy to just send it right in, I guess.
Yeah. I think if it was the Bondkin that he has underneath here, he might have not attacked with it. Wow.
Yeah, I agree.
Arc Lightning now, too. So 1 to you. Ooh, geez. That's a good one to get. Abzan Guide.
Yeah.
One of the better cards in the set.
Yeah. Abzan Guide's really good. This is going to be a good turn for Shahar.
What is he going to do here? Play a Bondkin?
I think it's double black, so I don't think he can hard cast a Bondkin.
Oh, okay.
I'd probably Bitter Revelation and then play Hooning Mandrills, unless he has other things to use the Delve on, basically.
How can you turn down a turn like that?
Right.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Right. The only reason to not make this play would be if he had a Necropolis Fiend or some reason he really wanted to preserve his graveyard.
Wow, how about a High Sentinels of Arishan? And a kill shot. Jeez. I don't think he's going to play that kill shot for a while, but...
Yeah.
But the High Sentinels is great.
This is a sweet turn. Draw the cards. I mean, put 2 lands in the yard, get 2 spells. It pretty much went perfectly.
Jeez, that was beautiful. James Tuckey, he's like, I killed your first 2 things.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Shahar.
Go ahead.
No, Shahar just has all spells in hand, so the attrition plan is probably not going to work.
God, he's got good spells, too. He has Murderous Cut as well. All right, well, Crackling Tomb. I mean, at least he gets to keep the board clear thus far, but you're right. It's going to be really tough to keep up with all of these. All right, so he still doesn't have the mana for the Krumar Bondkin face up.
This is interesting, because he kind of wants to play the High Sentinels last after all the other removals gone, but he can't do 2 things unless he plays the High Sentinels here, and then next turn if he draws a land, he can morph both.
Yeah, and it feels lame to just play a face-down morph that you can't do anything with. Yeah, he's just going to run this out. I mean, he's burned his opponent out of 3 removal spells in a row. Like, how much more can he really have?
I like this play. And even if he kills it, you have 2 guys for next turn if you draw a land. And if you don't draw a land, you keep drawing spells, and you just keep playing what you draw.
Yeah.
I like this play by Shahar.
Yeah, he can play 2 morphs next turn. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Which is something he really wants to do.
Yeah, also, by the way, 3/4 flyer for 4.
Not the easiest to kill.
Right, like that thing's pretty tough. And as we see, it looks like James is finally out of gas as far as the removal goes.
Yeah, all too often people just wait too long on things.
So what did Shahar draw for the turn?
Debilitating Injury, which doesn't offer him a whole lot here. I imagine he'll want to use the extra mana, so he'll probably attack for 3 and play the Sagu Archer face up.
Okay.
He certainly could do other things, but I mean, it feels really bad to use 3 mana instead of 5 when you have a handful of spells.
Yes, for sure.
And the Sagu Archer's a great blocker.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's my play.
I
here.
like that too, especially because the Krumar Bonkin trades for the War Shrieker anyway. So like even if he goes play it face down, untap, flip it face up, it's going to get blocked, and James, or it could definitely get blocked, and James is just going to trade. That's not what you want to do.
Shahar's done a good job. Like he's used a lot of mana, pretty much all of it every turn.
Yeah.
And you know, he has a handful of spells, so that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you can get your things in play.
I think he's left 1 mana.
The turn, but
that's it.
Right, and
that's pretty good.
And that turn, his other options cost 3. He
Yes.
used as much mana as he could, realistically.
Exactly. Wow, and hostilities, just when we thought he was out of removal, he's got even more. Good news for Shahar is that he's got backup plans here.
Yeah, and you know, that's kind of a premature end, hostilities. I mean, if Shahar had...
It did feel like it, didn't it?
Yeah, if Shahar had seen it already, then I don't hate the play, because Shahar will probably just pump his Archer and try and, you know, pressure James into using it.
Right.
If Shahar hadn't seen it yet, I'd probably wait another turn or two, because Shahar's missing land drops. You know he's got spells.
Yeah.
There's a decent shot Shahar would play one more thing.
Right. Yeah, I think the play would be, like, Shahar attacks with both. You don't block.
Right.
And then you try to entice Shahar into putting another creature into play.
Especially if you already had that Ashcloud Phoenix.
Ashcloud Phoenix, which just turns into a morph anyway.
Right, that's a great one to drop before you end hostilities.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he had that or if he just drew it, but if he had that, I definitely wouldn't have been
Yeah,
hostilities.
maybe he didn't have the second red mana source. I saw he only had 1 mountain.
Yeah,
for a while,
but I mean, even so, like
Yeah.
you could draw him out, and Shahar could just play another thing, like we were saying. I don't know,
All right, so here's Murderous Cut.
just to shrink it, I guess.
Well, I think he's going to
Debilitating injury.
Debilitating injury.
Yeah.
I mean, that card is a pain. He's going to need to get rid of it, and I
Sure.
think he's just going to kind of suck it up and say, well, I guess it's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, Shahar's got the ammo to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He also could attack. I guess he doesn't want to get blown out that bad by feet, so I guess he'll just use the debilitating injury.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way James would have blocked with it unless
Right.
he had feet.
Right.
So I mean, that's a good play.
Wow, James, though, has really managed to stay in this game. Shahar has done a whole lot of great stuff, but James has killed everything that Shahar's done so far.
Yeah. I guess
He's
Shahar.
got so much removal.
Yeah, I guess Shahar also didn't want to lose his only creature. I'm just thinking whether Shahar should have attacked first there or not, because it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because like, if he attacks and he blocks, you just pass probably, because you know it's an Ashcloud Phoenix. And then if he has feet, you can throttle and get a 2-for-1. But if he doesn't feet, then like you lose your only creature and you have a handful of removal.
Right, that's the problem is he's got all these reactive spells and he's not really going anywhere. Like Shahar's now officially out of gas as far as pressure goes.
Right, but can you imagine James just block, Char passes, then he passes and bins his Ashcloud Phoenix?
No
It seems
way.
unlikely.
That seems almost impossible.
So if that's not going to happen, an attack seems profitable for you, because if he has feet, he's probably going to block. You pass, then he feats or something, then you can throttle, or you might just not block, but then that's a free roll anyway. So it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting.
It's a small play. It doesn't have that much impact on the game.
Right.
But it's just kind of interesting whether or not you attack if you're Shahar there, I think.
Okay, and it looks like James is going to get aggro here and just run out the Heart Piercer and just say do 2 to you.
I like that. You know,
I do
Shahar
too.
doesn't have any
Looks like
creatures.
Shahar's out.
Yeah, you know Shahar doesn't have creatures in hand, so I mean.
And in fact, Shahar has to use his removal spell there, and right when he gets the black spell in the bin, he draws Luther Slipper, which he's going to play face down here.
Modern event. Your parents around.
Can't always try and get max value out of everything. If Shahar had not had that throttle and brick for a turn or two, this is a lot of damage he could be taking.
Sure.
Getting into burn range or what have you.
Totally. Is Shahar blocking here?
Probably. I mean, it's hard to imagine the Hate Blade can do less than trade with the Rootless Ripper. But then again, if James doesn't have a follow-up, it's 2-for-1, which is a good race for Shahar.
Sure.
So, you know, I don't know. Maybe he's not blocking, maybe he is. I'm not really sure.
So James doesn't want to attack because he wants to block himself.
I forgot Shahar had Kill Shot, so he's definitely not blocking, though.
Sure.
There's no reason to block with the Death Touch guy. I think if you have Kill Shot, you would just Kill Shot it probably.
All right, well, now that Hate Blade is going to become more of an issue, and I bet you Shahar's going to offer the trade here because he can play a Woolly Loxodon after combat here. And this is an interesting spot for James. It looks like he's going to go for it. It's kind of interesting that he did. I mean, Shahar clearly didn't have any interest in trading before, so you got to wonder what changed.
Shahar tapping.
He taps 8 mana for, there we go.
Tap whatever you want. You don't take damage from mana burn anymore. We don't need that one far.
It's not that relevant.
Yeah, it's a good point you made that, you know, even though that seems like a trade that you make, because it's 2-for-1 if you're racing, Shahar didn't do it the turn before.
Right.
So when he offers it that turn, you got to feel like he drew something.
Right.
It's kind of interesting to pick up on things like that.
There's a Woolly Loxodon. It is going to clean up this game very quickly if James Tuckey can't find some way to stop it. kill shot kind of rotting in Shahar's hand here as an insurance plan, but in the meantime, take six, and here's some more pressure as well. Shahar knows that the end hostilities is already in the graveyard, so he doesn't have to play around it, and he's going to kill him unless James comes up with something, and there's not much that can really get in the way here.
Well, he obviously drew something, but it's just a chump blocker unless he has, something else.
Shahar has nothing, but it's not that relevant. He's just going to battle with the team, and this is going to leave James at 1 life here. But like you said, you got to figure he doesn't have any outs to recover here.
No, second end hostilities.
Yeah, that's what he needs. I guess he could have Doom Blast and end hostilities. I don't think he has green mana though. Nope, that's going to do it. Shahar Shenhar fights his way through like 5 removal spells.
Yeah, that was an
and ends
interesting
up
game.
with the last elephant standing and gets in there to defeat James Tuckey 2-1. And our little graphic is lying there. That's actually Shahar 2-1. So Shahar stays undefeated as well. Looking to put a bit of a run together here.